Hakainde walked this country and said, when I come, all of you Zambians will have 3 square meals a day. I have already gotten $25 billion from my friends in America. The first day, just after you elect me, $25 billion will come into the economy. I'll pay off this debt. All of you will have better salaries. I'm going to reduce the price of meal to 50 kwacha. I'm going to reduce the price of fertilizer to 25 kwacha. I'm going to make sure every child goes to school. I'm going to make sure that you have freedom of speech, freedom of movement. I'll make sure you have all your liberties and so on. And the people fell for that. Unfortunately, my dear mother country, her citizens were duped. They were deceived. The angel deceived them. But now the truth has been seen, that actually what people say, not everything that glitters is gold, has come to bear on the people. People have realized actually they were better off under the PF.
So you think the Zambian people are missing the Patriotic Front government?
Precisely. I mean, just think of it. Look at how people are suffering today. Can you imagine Zambians who were affording to have square meals? Today they are being told by their own president, please, when you eat in the evening, don't give the remaining food to dogs. Keep it so that you eat chimbala tomorrow morning. And this is a head of state. Are you sure that Zambians are not missing the Patriotic Front? Are you yourself not missing the Patriotic Front? Where I go, everywhere I go, people are telling us we regret what we did. And I can tell your listeners on this radio program that after elections of August 2021, even walking in shops became unbearable because people were really saying, yeah, you will see, the things will improve. And we were feeling, well, let us see these things improve. It was difficult for us to walk the streets of Lusaka, but within 6 months, wherever I went, people were celebrating. Now wherever I go, people are saying, imwe bantu please tavutika. Bwerelani imwe bantu tavutika. Onani cost ya fuel. Onani mitengo ya vakudia. Onani macues. Can you imagine in a country like Zambia with so much abundance, people queuing up for cooking oil, people queuing up even for bread? I was in a shop in Matero the other day. In the evening, people queuing up for a loaf of bread. Cry, my dear country. And you're sure that the people are not seeing this? At least where I live, the people I meet, they tell me all the time, please, bwererani, tavutika. Abahaga inda abanatiuza, boza yeka chabana, kulibolo promise or imozi, yamena chita fulfill. This is the reason why he has even named himself names such as Bali Muntuwabufi, Vashi Promise. I mean, tell me where you go in Lusaka or in Zambia, where people are celebrating. When you hear Proud celebrating, when you hear Nevas Mumba celebrating, it is because they are celebrating because the GDP in their mouths has grown. But the GDP for the people is not growing.
Acting President, are you saying that the time that the Patriotic Front, the United Party for National Development has been in power, 4 years, there's nothing really that you as the opposition can point to, as something that has been delivered for the Zambian people that they wanted, the positives rather, that this government has given the Zambian people? Is everything about it negative?
When I hear President Hakainde bragging about what he has done, he points at what the PF did. Not too long ago, he was bragging about Kazungula Bridge. This is our project, which we did. The other day, it was Mulungushi International Conference Center. When they came into government, they were bragging, we have excess maize in our storage facilities. Where did that maize come from? It was PF grown maize. Kazungula is a PF project. Mulungushi International is a PF project. Can Hakainde himself or his people, his ministers, can they show us what they have done? Have they alleviated the suffering of the Zambians? Zambia today is rated the 6th poorest country in the world. And yet it is among the 10 largest producers of copper. Zambia produces world-class emerald. What did Mr. Hakainde do to our emerald? When Michael Chilufya-Sata formed government in 2011, we decided we're going to auction emerald in Zambia. Why we did that was because we didn't want the emerald to go out of Zambia. It's auctioned in India. We are not even in control of the prices. We're not in control of the money, the proceeds from the revenue or the revenue of the sale. We decided let it be auctioned here in Zambia. When we were in government, we formed ZamGold. We said the gold that is being mined, this is a treasure from God, an endowment for all the citizens of Zambia, living and future citizens. We decided we cannot go the same way we've been going, where our precious minerals are being exported at the expense of Zambians. We decided we're going to form ZamGold. All the gold that will be mined in Zambia shall be sold to ZamGold, and we shall keep the bullions in the Bank of Zambia to cushion our currency. Because if our currency is cushioned, if our currency is strengthened, it benefits every single Zambian. What did Mr. Hakainde do? He came and just said, everyone and anyone can do as they wish with our gold. He brought in his foreign investors to come and mine your copper, and he's bragging that we have gone to 800,000 metric tons. 800,000 metric tons of copper from 700,000 in 2021. Can you tell us how many Zambians have benefited from that? What is the beneficiation for Zambia from that 800,000 metric tons? As far as we're concerned in the Patriotic Front, and I've said this before, I say it now and I'll say it again, if this current generation of Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Chagwa Lungu and Given Lubinda and so on and so forth are not capable of exploiting our mineral wealth for the benefit of Zambians, leave it in the ground, because the future generation will come and do it better. Leave it.
We'll come and look at the monies that's in detail as the program unfolds. But let's get back to your party. Mr. Chavinga, that I made reference to earlier, pointed that the confusion that has happened within the Patriotic Front is something that should be blamed on former President Edgar Lungu, because before he retired from politics, he needed to put his house in order. What is your comment on that?
Can I request that you don't use me to give any prominence to a person who doesn't deserve prominence whatsoever? I don't want to make reference to a person like Chavinga. That's a waste of my time.
All right. Do you
Total waste of
think former President Edgar Lungu contributed to the confusion in your party?
Not at all.
By not putting the house in order before he retired from politics?
President Edgar Chagwa Lungu put everything in order when he retired. He had the Central Committee in place. He appointed people to the Central Committee, and he formally told us, I'm retiring. The Central Committee itself said, no, sir, we are not going to allow you to retire. We will allow you to go on leave of absence, but you will not retire. The Patriotic Front Central Committee stopped him from retiring. Okay? And if anyone is saying President Edgar Chagwa Lungu created the confusion, was he the one who sponsored the coup? Because the confusion in the Patriotic Front arose from the coup. So if you tell me that yes, you have evidence that President Edgar Lungu is the one who took the police there, you have evidence that President Edgar Lungu is the one who selected those thugs and hooligans who had delegate cards to go to that meeting, then I will agree that it was him who caused the confusion. But for as long as he was not involved in that, then leave him out. He was not part of the confusion. The confusion was created by the one who sponsored that coup and those who participated in the coup. There are some people who went to that meeting who afterwards said, we did not even know that we're coming for this. You heard them on radio, you saw them on television saying, Anati we're coming to celebrate Independence Day. We came for independence, we were shocked. Tingenamo meeting at meeting yankala election. He said, it's celebration. Yabwele yachinja yankala meeting, yankala election. Now, who caused that? Do you see any hand of Edgar Lungu in that? Do you see my hand in that? No. Hadn't it been for Hakainde Hichilema, I wouldn't have been in this confusion.
The founding father of the Patriotic Front, late President Michael Chilufya-Sata, did put in a lot. He did so much to get the party to where it was, to a point where it even formed government. Now, When we look at all this that is happening really, and the effort that was put in, of course it was teamwork to get the party to be where it is. How do you think this would have made the late president feel had he been here? This confusion, these three factions, and just where the state that the Patriotic Front is in.
Wherever he is, the spirit of Michael Chilufya-Sata is not at peace. Wherever he is. A party that he founded, a party that he worked hard for, a party that he handed over to others to manage, has been subject of destruction by an outsider. He is really sad wherever he is.
You're still listening to Talk of the City on Lusaka Radio 97.7 FM. To be a part of it, you can call us on 0966 992770. That is 0966 992770. You can also call us on 0977 977860. That is 0977 977860. My guest this morning is a former Justice Minister, Honorable Lubinda, who is also acting president of the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front. Now let's move on, Honorable, as we are waiting for calls and contributions from our dear listeners, to looking at other issues. You served as Justice Minister at the time when we had the Bill 10. Right now in Zambia, we are at the point where there is a proposed amendment to the Constitution. We've seen 13 clauses. Of course, those that are supporting this are saying these are non-contentious. How do you look at that?
My dear lady, there is nothing in any constitution that is non-contentious. Everything in the Constitution is highly contentious. Even where a comma is placed in a sentence in the Constitution is highly contentious. A comma can be the difference between life and death. So, those who are saying these are non-contentious issues are trying to hoodwink Zambians. And I'd like to appeal to Zambians to discount that. When the whole process started, Parliament actually wrote to our members of Parliament, to PF members of Parliament, and they said to them, can you kindly identify non-contentious issues in the Constitution so that we can consider amendments? Our members of Parliament consulted the leadership of the party. And we said to them, can you show us, you yourselves as members of Parliament, show us one clause in the Constitution which is non-contentious. They failed. And they themselves said, no, there is nothing that is non-contentious. They wrote back to Parliament and they said, everything in the Constitution is contentious. And if you want us to participate in these amendments, then make sure that the process is people-driven. It mustn't be driven by Parliament. It mustn't be driven by the government. It must be people-driven. And that is our position.
This Constitution amendment proposal comes at a point where we are preparing for the general elections. When you look at the timing, as a party, of course, that is going to take part in the elections next year, is the timing okay for you?
First of all, I would like the Zambians to know that those who are telling them that they are non-contentious issues are just bluffing. They are telling them lies. Secondly, the process of amending a constitution must not be with an election in mind. No. You don't amend a constitution with an election in mind. This process is election-driven. Every word in it is election-driven. And the election is only a few months away. Any meaningful constitution reform process must be given sufficient time frame. It must start with the people, must be given a legal framework, and people must use it to build consensus. As they discuss the amendments, they must be united. That's what a constitutional reform process must do. This one, unfortunately, is ill-conceived, it is ill-timed, it is ill-planned, and ill-executed. Everything about it is just wrong. There's nothing at all that is right Everything about this constitution-making process is totally wrong.
Maybe just take us through the process of how Bill 10 was, the fact that it was happening during a time where you were Justice Minister.
On the 9th of November 2016, 9th of November, just a few months after elections, 9th of November 2016, there was a private member's motion moved in Parliament. Okay? A private member's motion means a motion moved not by a minister, but by a backbencher. A backbencher moved a motion urging the government to amend the Constitution Act number 2 of 2016. And in his own words, he said, government must amend the Constitution so as to A, take back MPs into councils, and B, to correct all the inconsistencies and the lacuna in the Constitution. That was his motion. And at that time, PF had 80 members of parliament. 80. UPND had 58. But how many people voted in favor of that motion? 91. Okay? 91 members of parliament voted in favor of the motion which was urging government to amend the constitution. Now, we as a government were a government that respected parliament. And after 91 people said, yes, go ahead and amend the constitution, the next thing we did was to ask the Zambian people. And I announced in January 2017, Madam, January 2017, just a few months after elections in August 2016, in January 2017, I made a public announcement that the government had listened to the voices of members of parliament urging the government to amend the constitution. And we said, all those who have views on what should be amended in the constitution, please, we're giving you 1 year in which to make submissions. And they made submissions until May 2018. Madam, the submissions came from institutions such as the Law Association of Zambia, the judiciary itself, all commissions in Zambia, all government ministries made submissions, all provincial administrations in Zambia, office made submissions, the National Assembly of Zambia made submissions, Bank of Zambia made submissions, Human Rights Commission made submissions, Anti-Corruption Commission made submissions, TIZ made submissions, churches made submissions, many numerous organizations made submissions. It was not driven by the PF. It was driven by the people. In May 2018, Ministry of Justice was ready